a lot of times we have these thoughts that are just keeping us away from what we want to do. And it's good to really take a look at them and see if they're even real.
Yeah, living far away from family as well.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the topic, public speaking, Ella, you probably have done so many public speaking events because you are a coach. So now, can you give us some tips and advice how to be a good public speaker?
I would say the best advice I can give is to work with your fear. The fear is not real. The fear is what we make it to be. So challenge your fear. I remember one time I was about to go on stage and I was really nervous. And I kind of went back to my hotel room and I kind of had this coaching conversation with myself about the fear. Like, what is this really about? And really when you get down to the bottom of what this is really about, we realize that it's really not fear. So a lot of times we have these thoughts that are just keeping us away from what we want to do. And it's good to really take a look at them and see if they're even real.
That's so true. I have a funny story I want to share. When I was a teenager, and at the teenager age, I had a lot of breakouts, and I felt so ashamed about that. I feel so shy about that, and I thought I was so ugly with all the breakouts on my face, and so I was even nervous talking to a boy. That's how bad it was. And then I told myself that because I had all these breakouts, I'm going to push myself out there and I'm going to speak in front of people. And so I will get over that fear. So I got the fear about my breakouts. And so that's when public speaking came out for me when I was a teenager, that I started speaking up in front of people just because I want to get over the fears of having breakouts. And then I start feeling like, this is so fun. I love this. It is so much joy that when I speak in front of people. So that's just funny when you mentioned about the fear. That just refreshed my mind about that breakout stories.
Yeah, it's good to address those because they're stopping us from doing what we want to do and have an impact and have the life that we want to have.
That's so true. And besides facing your fear to be a better public speaker, are there any other tips and advice that you can give to young professionals that they don't have much experience of speaking in front of people? What if they do not have the fear of speaking in front of people, but they have the fear of like getting too much attention from audience or like too much light to them, and I could say that it's the fear as well, but maybe it's not as strong. It's just one particular fear that you have to get over. So how can they get over that just like general issues when you start doing public speaking?
Yeah, so when you get on the stage, a lot of times people think that, oh my goodness, now I'm in front of so many people. And what if something happens? What if I mess up? What if I say the wrong thing? And I would say that if you're an introvert, and a lot of accountants are, stage is actually a safe place because you are really far away from people.
That's so true.
You have a lot of space around you to process, to be yourself. And even if you make a mistake and say something, there's a huge chance that the audience is really going to be fine with it because we're all human. So if people are afraid of being on the stage because they're afraid of being in front of this huge audience or having so many people close to them, I would say stage is a great place. I would say it's a great place to be. It's a safe place to be.
Ela, you brought up a lot of different viewpoints that I never thought about. Like, I never thought stage would be a safe place. It's so far away from audience because when I stand on the stage, all I see is just a lot of people staring at me, looking at me. And for me, because I love public speaking, and all the lights shining to me, I love all those attention. But some people, they do not like public speaking. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. Like my husband, he always like, I hate you so much because you love public speaking and he hates public speaking.
A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people are afraid of it. A lot of people don't want to even try it.
Yeah, I think someone told me that there's a good, what is the statistics number they say, like, is it 88%? Don't quote me on this, but a good percentage number of people, they rather to die than to speak in public.
But I think once you challenge yourself, you realize that it's fun, like you said.
It's fun. I love it. I love it. I can do that all day long. And that's probably why I have this podcast. I just need to get over my accent. That's my only fear. And I think I'm okay now.
There you go.
That's going to be my next goal. That when you see me on the stage, that's when I see that I'm reaching my goal.
It's just a matter of time, Rosey.
Thank you. I'm excited about that. So when you start your own company to do the coaching, it's probably a huge step up because from being an employee to being an employer, you have to manage all different everything in your companies. So how did you feel at that time when you start your own practice? Probably, I think it's 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, about, yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel about that? What did you learn about doing your own company?
I felt overwhelmed. I felt overwhelmed. There's no question about it. And I had to learn a lot. And you mentioned some of these skills, like going to networking events, being comfortable talking to people I don't know, selling, or really connecting with people more than selling, right? Understanding what they need. So those are the skills that then every single business owner needs to learn. But also, when you think about even being an employee, if you have those skills, you're going to be able to advance so much faster. Because networking is going to bring you opportunities that normally you wouldn't have. Connecting with people and understanding what your boss needs from you really is going to, and if you achieve those things, it's going to keep you ahead. And kind of getting the confidence in your own self so that you can almost like sell your skills so that you can get that promotion. So I think if we all really should focus on learning those skills, whether we're employed or have our own business.
It's true, but when you have your own business, you don't have a team at the beginning to start with. But when you are employee, you have a whole team to support you.
Yeah, and that's the biggest challenge. It's you have to not only learn skills that you really never had to use before, but then you have to do things you never really had to do before.
Yeah, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not at all. So can you share with me like the most challenge that you face with or you have faced with at your current company when you run your own business?
Yeah, so I think priorities, there was a time when I was working on various projects, accounting projects, and also working on leadership development and coaching. So I had some clients that I was working with and also at the same time doing the accounting work. And really to be able to switch from coaching to accounting, I think you use very different skills. And one, you have to be very focused and very detail oriented and almost cut off from everything to do that work very precisely. And the other one, you almost have to be the opposite. So that really made me realize what it takes for a leader to be able to like switch from one to another, because when you're leading people, you have to be a different person than when you're sitting there and like just working on your deadlines and doing tax returns or doing audit work or doing checklists. So be able to manage that. I think that was a little hard. It almost required like a turn on, turn off button.
I think
so sometimes I would have to like schedule, let's say I'm going to do accounting on these days and I'm going to do coaching on these days so that I can just wake up and be in a different mindset to do both. Yeah.
I don't know how you can do that. I'm having a very difficult time to turn on and turn off as being a manager. And I was like, okay, today I'm going to send tons of emails about following up the status, about reminding, about all kind of managing staff. And then in the afternoon, I say, okay, I need to get this one done. And then emails come in and then questions come in. By the end of the day, I end up with nothing done. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so behind. So I think that's pretty amazing that people can turn on and turn off. But also I feel like you will need to find your own schedule, your own way to get things done as well. Either you have to stay a little bit later or like show up at work a little bit sooner, so before people get up, you already get the job done.
You have to find your own rhythm, and you have to find what things you can accomplish really fast and what things are going to take a little more time, and really focus on those at the time when you're most productive. So I think it's really about understanding yourself.
That's true.
And what works for you.
I think it applies for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Understand yourself so you can pass the CPA exam. Understand yourself so you can advance your career, so you know where you want to go, what you want to do. So I think that's a key point. But I'm telling you, Ella, it's not easy. It's not easy to understand yourself.
No, but it's a good place to be, because when you think about it, it's a process. It's probably a never-ending process.
Nope.
Because we're always going to be learning about ourselves. But I think it's something that's just so worth to do.
And I think that it's changed over time as well. Like yourself. You change over time. Like I moved across the country from California to Massachusetts. I see myself change a lot in just last couple months. And I'm still myself, but a very different Rosey. And each time I go to networking events, like I met you, I met other people at the conference, I came home and I see that little bit of me change as well. So understand yourself. I also understand the change in yourself as well. I think it's very important. But yeah, it never ends. Never ends.
Yeah, so it's good to give ourselves permission to change, to experience different things, to have different goals and different life situations, right? Like when I was a young mother, maybe I had different goals than I have now, or it just allowing ourselves to adapt.
Ooh, another important key adaptation skill. I think one of the best answer that I always prepare myself for any interview question is that I have a great adaptation skill because I moved across the country to study abroad and then to work at different companies, to learn different environments. So adaptation skill is really important as well. So audience, you can just take adaptation skills in your resume. It will stand out. It will make you stand out during the interview process as well. But yes, adaptation is so true. We have to adapt to a lot of different life circumstance. Like you have start a new company, you have to adapt to the new process as well. New working style.
Yeah, but when you think about it, life is nothing but change. So the more we're comfortable with change, the better off we are.
Yeah, but it depends, Ella. Some people they have too many changes that make them too overwhelmed, that it's so difficult to get over. So I don't know. I would say that some changes are good, some changes are not good. It depends, and you just have to learn from it.
Yeah, right. So it's more about the ability to adapt to change, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That we're resilient to go with the change, because there's certain situations or life events we can't control, right? Like life happens.
Yep.
And all we can control is our ability to adapt.
That's so true. That's so true. I absolutely agree with you about that. And the only thing that doesn't change is change, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So when you think about it on that note, if we have that ability to change, that resiliency, if we build ourselves on the inside, then no matter what happens, we can go through those changes much easier.
Yep.
If we know our strengths, if we know that no matter what, we're going to find our way. And I think for us, coming from a different country all the way to America, I think, early on we had to adapt to change. Early on, we had to figure it out. Early on, we had to just learn and be open to learning. So I think for us, that adapting to change, I think that it's almost natural.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like it's easier for us to adapt because we learned that at a younger age than people who didn't have a chance to study abroad at a younger age. It's difficult for them to adapt later in life. But it doesn't mean that people don't adapt better in certain circumstance, but I just say that it just gives us a better opportunity to learn how to adapt at younger age. Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah. And you mentioned a lot about leaderships, about coaching, about networking, about communications, and I feel like my audience is going to be so sick of talking about networking because I talk about this at every single podcast interview. But I want to emphasize that it's just so important. And especially now when you have your own company, it's even more important for you to go out there and networking with people in either in the industry or outside of industries, because anyone could be your client. So can you give us some benefits of going out there and doing networking either at the early stage of the career or even later in the career?
Sure. So if you're early in your career, networking is important because, well, it's very important at this time because you have access to other possibilities. If you're early on in your career, a lot of times you might not know of all the opportunities that are possible. Unless you go and talk to people, unless you go and network with people, unless you really challenge yourself to really get out of your comfort zone. So I think networking is important in every single stage, not only when you have your own business. Of course, when you have your own business, you have to almost take it to the next level. But I think networking is important at any point in your career because you're just giving yourself a chance to be open to opportunities.
That's true. Opportunity either at work or outside of work.
Mm-hmm.
You never know, but it just opened a lot of different doors for you. And besides of networking, how about building relationship after networking? How do people maintain the relationship after networking event?
Yeah, so it's important to keep those relationships going, whether it's sending them an invite for a Zoom coffee or emailing them. I think it's really, if you go to different networking events every single time, then you just have to find a way to really stay in touch. Connect on LinkedIn. That's another great place. Connect on LinkedIn. Then you can really kind of be on top of what's going on in their life. Are they changing roles? Maybe there's a way that you can work together. I think LinkedIn is actually probably one of the best places to stay in touch with people.
That's true. I try to create a habit for myself to check LinkedIn every day, like only 5 minutes. So I have to set the alarm 5 minutes. Okay, start, and then check, and then done. 5 minutes, move on. Because I don't want to like spend like an hour for like one day and never look at that again the rest of the week. And you may miss a lot of I probably still miss a lot of postings, but at least I don't miss a lot. I don't miss like all the postings. But yes, I agree. LinkedIn is really good resources for professionals out there want to network with people or want to stay connected with people after the networking event. So yeah, great tips. And now we talk so much about career path, about leaderships, about networking, about communications. Ella, I want to learn a little bit more about fun side from you. Like, what do you do for fun? And is there something about you that most people don't know?
So I think my biggest thrill is really traveling. I love to go to different places and learn how people really live life. What are their thoughts, like priorities? What do they focus on? What is good life to them? Because I don't like to be very like closed-minded that this is how the way it is. I think I like to learn that there are many ways to have a good life, and I love exploring. So that would be my number one thing. But what I do for myself is yoga. I love yoga. So that really, I think many years I would go to yoga at my lunch break to just kind of center myself and be ready to get back and do what I had to do. But it's something that brings me back to me, and I love it. Whenever I need time out, I go to yoga.
That's amazing. I talking about yoga. I love yoga, but I put myself in a really funny situation that one day I joined the 30-day challenge yoga. And so literally like you do yoga every day before you go to bed. And somehow my body adapt to like stretching before going to bed. So after 30-day yoga, and I was like, oh, finally, I'm done with the 30-day. I can just go to bed. And I noticed that my body start feeling like it needs to be stretched. And I like at midnight, I wake up and then it's just doing yoga. And then since that 30-day challenge yoga, now my body gets used to doing yoga every day. Otherwise, I cannot go to bed. I was like, okay, this is how it works. Gotcha.
That's amazing, though, that you're doing it, that you're still doing it.
Yes. I have been doing yoga probably for like, holy crap, wow, 10 years. Woo! For 10 years now. For almost every day for last 10 years.
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah, and I don't do that long. Only like 10 minutes. That's it. Yeah, but I love yoga. And also, sometimes I hate it so much that I want to be lazy and I don't want to do it before going to bed. And then my body will wake me up at midnight like, no, you have to do it now. I say, oh, fine. I'm doing it now. And at that time, I don't like yoga.
Yeah. I think it's really important, especially that we have these sitting jobs. So our back gets kind of cramped. I had to go to a chiropractor many years to really stretch my back. So I think yoga was a saver for me to stretch my back.
Yeah, a lot of stretching. And now I love it. Even sometimes I want to get lazy, but I cannot be lazy with yoga now. I feel like I have no options about that. But how about something fun? Something about yourself that most people don't know. Do you have any secret that most people don't know about yourself?
I think the biggest secrets, I don't think I have many secrets, but I think my biggest thing is really that I love, since I was probably 18 years old, I wanted to study psychology. So that's kind of like one area that I go back to. I really am so passionate about understanding people. Because I think that every single person's actions, there's always a story to them. And it's never what we think it is. So what I do when I'm not doing accounting or I'm not doing the leadership development is I'm always learning about human development and like I'm trying to understand humans. I just think it's like an area that like never ends. You can just be learning and learning and learning, and there's always something that you're going to be learning new. So that's probably my secret. I love human psychology, but I don't think it's an exciting secret.
Wow, it's not easy to learn psychology. No. It's so complicated. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, but I think it's really important to understand where people are coming from, because it really changes our perception.
That's true.
Of them, yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. But I think we have a great conversation about your CPA journey, about yourself as well. Before we end this podcast, I'm just curious if you have any final tips and advice for young professionals who would like to advance their career in accounting profession.
Yeah, build your skills, not only technical skills, but also build yourself on the inside, your confidence, your communication. Those are skills that nobody's going to be able to take away from you. And remember that you are not just your title. You're so much more than your title. So as you see yourself, as you build yourself up on the inside, you're going to be able to achieve so much more.
That's true. You are more than just your title. I think that's a good statement to end this podcast. Thank you so much for your time today and all your tips and advice and also your insights about this profession.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Rosey. It was amazing to chat with you.
Thank you.